The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Café. This is the United Podcast Network.
If you're building or buying or selling a home, the Real Estate Crew's got news for you at the Real Estate House Party.
With attorney Rick Carter,
Real Estate House Party.
paralegal Kathy Holtshouser,
Real Estate House Party. Come in, have fun.
and comedian Tony V. Now, here's real estate attorney Rick Carter.
Welcome and thanks for joining us for on the Real Estate House Party.
Oof,
I was waiting.
that was a
I was
little,
waiting for my cue, but I
that was
didn't
a
get the
little
cue.
rough.
It threw you off last time, so this time I don't do it and it throws you off again. I feel like I'm now just in a
That
shit
was
cycle.
a little rocky, honey.
That was a little rocky. We're a little sleepy here on today's show.
boy.
Here, we're coming around because we have someone who's going to really enlighten us.
Yes.
Doug Walters.
I
is here
need
with
to be
us today.
enlightened. I need
gonna
to be.
really enlighten
And if
us.
anyone can enlighten us, it's Doug
It's
Walters.
going to be Doug. It's going to be
No pressure.
a lot of pressure. A lot
No,
of pressure.
he's like the man of, like, he
Many
does
hats.
everything. Yeah,
Many hats. So
At the end of this show, so they'll go, did you learn anything? No, but I feel enlightened.
It's all about how you feel.
we are having a hypnotist on in a few weeks. So stay tuned
Really?
for that. Yes. Yes.
And
yes.
then we get to sleep through the whole thing.
Nice.
I just hope I don't say anything bad.
Yeah.
Imagine her under. Imagine either one of you under. That's
No.
that's gonna
No.
be. I
No,
can't wait.
I'll be giving out family secrets all day long.
I wonder if
gonna
they
say,
do
there's
that.
no
You know
filter
how the old
now.
shows they would make them, or the hypnotist, the stage hypnotist, they'd make you,
Stand on your
clock like a
head.
chicken, and
Yeah.
and then but they would have cues, and I'm not sure. We'll have to ask them this,
Yeah.
but yeah. So like months later, if you see a yellow car drive by, you're gonna start acting like a chicken again.
People pay for that?
Yeah, why would you do that?
Probably one of the greatest shows I've ever been to
Was a
entertainment-wise
hypnotist?
was a hypnotist.
Really?
No, like that
So what
stuff.
happened? Tell us about
It was
it.
incredible. So they get everyone up on stage. They let you know beforehand that some people just aren't susceptible to it and some are. So
Yeah.
he's like, if at any point if I tap you on the shoulder, just politely go sit down.
Yeah,
And even from not sitting on stage, you can still get hypnotized. And I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there with a
Yeah.
group of people from my work, and we're watching it, and I'm like, okay. And I see him tap people. I'm like, eh. But then I realize one of my good buddies from work, and he's not a good actor. So this is not.
So he's in a
I look
trance.
at him, and I'm like, he's fucking asleep. Like, what? Oh my God! Sorry, Australian swearing.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah,
Trigger.
We get
It's
it
a
early.
trigger warning.
Get it early.
he's asleep. Like, what the hell? Like, why did he come today? He's that tired. Why didn't he just stay home? And then I realized the guy comes out
He'd
and
been
like grabs
hypnotized.
him. He'd been hypnotized. He was under. He was like tap tap.
Really?
My friend was like Jello.
Wow.
So he brought him up, and he was part of the show. And
Ah,
it was-
so we're gonna have to ask them
Easy
that
recruiting.
if that's
Yeah.
if
It
you're
was
that
incredible to watch.
susceptible.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
That's
if you're really
crazy.
susceptible, you can be hypnotized when you're not even on the stage
Really?
doing it. If you're
Wow.
really clued in.
Wow.
And then the hilarity ensued from there, like you said, like the
Yeah.
cluck like a chicken.
Oh, yeah.
They were like act like Elvis. This friend of ours who would normally not be so
Oh, I
outgoing.
could do that.
They're like,
Yeah.
act like act like Elvis every time we say like peanut butter sandwich. And he was all like, whoa, and you're like, wow, that's the side of you I've never seen. Anyway, Doug's
So
here.
that's a preview from our show
Yes,
coming up.
Anyway, I was going to say.
That's a
Doug,
tease.
can we
Doug's
get you
here.
to cluck like a chicken for today's show there?
I'm thinking we
for
can.
Yeah. No, we gotta get
Notoriety.
We have to get Doug on. Whoop.
Oh, no, sorry. I was just cutting in with it. You were talking about chickens, and
No,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I got a great joke for Tony. You can use this.
Go ahead.
Pretty sure
Go
it's
ahead.
open. Why did the chicken cross the road?
Okay.
Because.
Ah,
There you go. You're welcome. Yeah, you can use that. Thank you.
I saw that.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
that was nice.
Yeah.
That is funny about
a
being a
genius.
comedian. Everyone has their suggestions on what you should do in your material,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. My favorite thing is after a show, someone will come up to me and go, hey, here's one you can use. And then they'll proceed to tell me the most sexist, racist
Oh, God.
joke in the world. I mean, like,
Right,
and you
right.
just look at him, you go,
I can't use
what
that.
did I just say that made you think I'd want to hear that?
Yeah. Or repeat it.
Did
Right.
they run it past the internet first, and then they
I
came
bet-
to you, and
Yeah,
they're like,
I don't
was
know
rejected
where they
there.
come from. And it's just-
Yeah. Do you
Well, one time I was talking to Rick after a giggle show, and the comedian will remain nameless.
Go ahead.
We know the jokes inside and out,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's not you. And then Rick goes, I think his timing was off. I go, I think we should call him and tell him his timing was off. Really?
And you know him too. He's a very good friend of yours who wouldn't take it too well that I would be telling him his timing.
Right, is off. Yeah, sure.
Rick, do I tell you how to do a closing?
It's a good thing this isn't recorded.
I really don't think that that's going to go over well.
There's a lot more than the words that go into an act.
His timing was off because we know the joke better than him.
Yeah.
Well, I think what it was is he's told that joke 35,000
That he
times.
doesn't wait for them to.
Right. He just moves right into it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But he's still one of our favorite comedians, other than Tony V.
Of
but
course.
His timing was definitely off, and I
Yeah, it
said
happens.
maybe we should be his coach.
Yeah, sometimes when people get in a jam or if the audience is noisy or whatever, their instinct is to go faster and not pay attention to timing and
Well, and then you miss it. You
that's
miss
a good
it.
point.
You miss
yeah,
it.
That's a good point.
Because you
Yeah.
think you got to jam at home,
Right,
but then
right.
it does disservice to the bit.
Without a doubt.
I've always wondered how you're able to deal with hecklers. We deal with a lot of rejection.
Tony's very good at
We deal with a
hecklers.
lot of rejection in real
Yeah.
estate because we're
Yeah.
always reaching out to people.
Yes.
Whenever I see comedians be able to think top of their head, dealing with people that are, razzing them,
Yeah, you get used to it, and the thing we have going for us that people don't realize is it's not the first time that happened.
Right.
Really?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they think, I'll get you with this one. You go, nah, you're not really gonna. No.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't phase you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't take it personally.
Right.
Yeah. I have said to people on occasion, I go, the only reason I'm talking to you is because I'm working. Like don't come up to me afterwards and try to talk to me because I have nothing to say to you.
I've seen you with a bad crowd, and you didn't heckle them, but you kind of put the whole place in.
You've been a crowd.
You've been a crowd.
I actually have heard that.
I laughed for
Right.
about, and we had one of the funniest nights ever. I think you, me, George
George
Ravanis,
Ravanis,
and we
yeah.
had another comedian. I always forget who the other one was,
Yeah.
but we were going outside, and I was laughing
just
about
started
that
telling
line
old
the
jokes.
whole time
Yeah.
there. Well, you've been an audience, so
Yeah.
so we started this idea. We put these guys on to do a joke-a-thon, and we threw that out to these guys and said, why don't we just have you guys in front of everyone?
Tell old jokes.
Tell old jokes.
Street
You
jokes.
shoot like a bar stool.
You know what the
and-
problem with that, guys?
There's
is
no problem with that.
The problem is we know their jokes better than they know their jokes.
Well,
I said,
well.
remember that joke about camping? And Tony's like, I
Well,
can
you got to
probably
remember, he's
figure
told 10,000
something
jokes
out.
since then.
Or our other friend, Don Gavin.
Oh, Don, poor Don.
I had all his jokes.
we,
you did.
we had a really
we were
prime
telling
him for
yeah,
those.
He
there.
didn't feel good.
I've told some of your jokes because they've actually really happened to me. The one with the when I was choking on that.
Oh yeah.
And I told you at the end there, I said, I have to use your line for that. If I'm going to be choking during the show,
It's not an act.
it's not an act.
It's not an act.
And the other one was the person at the CVS, which really did have
Oh
me.
my God. Oh, you're gonna have to go to the other window for that. Okay.
Well, the guy told me to move over here. So don't you know I went? Well, we won't get into it.
Oh my God, that was a great story.
Yeah, Doug will hear it at some other time. and
I'm
say,
sure-
"Oh my
well, I'm
God,
sure-
I've thrown my whole day off to come here to you guys.
I
joke."
actually think that Doug probably already saw it because he doesn't miss any of our podcasts.
That's
Oh,
true.
yeah.
That's
Okay.
true.
All right. Good point. Good point.
Yep.
Doug, we have like 20 minutes left because these two have been gabbing. I want to do snapshot of how to be a successful sale from start to finish.
Okay.
So how's that sound?
First thing you do is contact an attorney.
There you go. Well, actually, that is on my first
In
list.
all seriousness.
To get a team together. We
Yeah,
always say
yeah.
this. You know,
Early in the process.
early in the
Yep.
process, right?
The sellers these days, especially because I think there's a lot of confusion because the market has been all over the place. You know, last
Exactly.
year in March it shifted
Yep.
tremendously. Even this year, I'm talking to brokers about when's the spring market going
We've
to open
already
up.
lost Tony.
All right, I'll break this down
It's
real
okay.
slow.
It's okay.
I'm with you. The market has changed.
We didn't get out of the 8-minute mark.
Yeah, he's like, I got it. The market has
The market's
changed.
changed.
Tony will never call me to sell his
no,
house.
no.
He'd fall asleep instantly.
Listen, if Tony asked you to sell his house,
I one time did I was doing a corporate show for
Yeah.
a company. It was in the Midwest. They flew me out. It was a
yeah.
good payday.
Yeah, yeah.
It was fun like
You
that.
actually remembered to go out?
Yeah, I would.
Oh my God!
Did they call you when you were on your couch?
That's another good story.
I was doing a set, and then I was going to MC their award show and blah, blah, blah. And so they had the customary, the CEO does the, year-end talk or whatever.
Yeah.
And this guy spoke for about 50 minutes.
Oh
boy.
my God!
And it was one of the most painful, and everyone has to be
Courteous about it.
courteous about it because he's the guy that runs the
And
place.
he makes the check.
So I'm going on after this guy, and the audience is awful. I mean,
Yeah,
everyone wants to just
They're
be
asleep.
They want to go
painful.
home at this point.
So I go up and I go, let me just sum up the last 50 minutes of your life. Everything's fine. We're getting new phones. And that is literally what the guy said in 50 minutes. And the
How'd that
audience,
go over?
the audience made a noise. It wasn't even a laugh. It was just like,
Pained laughter.
yeah.
Oh my God!
Like, oh, wow, somebody gets it besides us. The CEO was not at all happy.
No.
But he wasn't paying you, was
I
he?
fly
No,
Tony
no.
in.
Yeah.
And he rips on me the first thing
He
he
actually
does.
shows up.
Everything's fine. We're getting new phones.
You're his mirror.
That was it.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
God. All right, so we've got our team together. Tony V's obviously on our team, but...
He's just here for comedic
Point-
for
No,
comedic
No, the
time.
sellers, because we always tell the buyers have to get a team, but the sellers have to get a team, too.
It's essential. It's
Yeah.
essential. You
Yeah.
know, it's having the right attorney. It's having the right stager. It's having the right agent.
Yep.
You know, if you need to sell in order to buy, it's having the right lender. It's
Yep.
it's having the
Yeah.
right professionals. You know, I think a lot of sellers don't realize.
Well, you're right. A lot of sellers now need lenders because they got to make sure they get pre-approved for the new 6% rate when they had the 2%. Yeah.
There's just a lot more strategy involved.
Right.
Is that that's what I'm seeing? So the conversations need to happen earlier because there's more involved.
Right.
And you can't go into it willy-nilly. You need to know what you want to know. Like, you know what you want, right? So you have to say, like, oh, is the this day and this day and this day and this leaving? It's tough for a real estate agent to...
Dates, to your point, like everything needs to be lined up like to a T. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
like in terms of process.
So that they can do their job and accept, or, get an accepted offer closer to what you want.
Yeah, it's amazing how much people don't realize all of that prep work is what gets the results. You know,
Yeah.
everyone, it makes sense. We're human. We look at the results. You know, we think that determines everything. But if you look at the process, right, lining
Yeah.
up the right people, doing the right strategies, marking the home well, looking at timing,
Due
all of those
diligence.
things make a huge difference.
Due diligence.
And
There
the
you
other
go.
It's not rocket science, but
No.
it
I had
blows my mind.
an electrician one time say the smartest thing to me I've ever heard in my life after I screwed
An
up.
electrician?
An electrician.
All right.
And this will make sense when I'm done.
Okay.
I tried to put in a bathroom
Yeah.
light fan,
Yeah.
and I couldn't get it to work. I screwed, and so I had to call an electrician, and he had to undo my work,
Yep.
and then do it properly. And I go, geez, I really screwed that up. And he goes, yeah, it's not a hobby.
It's true.
And,
is
and
so
that's
good.
exactly what you're saying
Yeah, yeah,
there.
yeah.
Selling a house, it's not a hobby. It's a business, and you
Yeah.
guys know your business.
Yep.
Well,
yep.
the one thing that I have realized...
Not a hobby.
I could still laugh. What am I? What do I have? A time frame on how long I can laugh?
I can pinch you under the desk.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
Is
ahead.
the word trust.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
So, like, when you're putting your house on the market, or I'm going to trust you to find me the best house after I convey what I want.
Yep.
I think that trust is a huge deal, and I know that a lot of our clients trust that we're doing.
100%.
They probably don't even know what we're doing, but I always like to circle in with them and say, listen, this is what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks. You can expect a call from me a couple days before closing. But because if you don't trust the people that you're working with,
Yeah.
everything's going to go south.
Well, I think to your point, Kathy, and we talk about this. It's all about asking the right questions.
Right.
Trust is different for different people. Sometimes I used to think that there were certain things that people needed in order to feel trusted, but every seller has something different. So we try to go in there and find out what it is they need, show them that we care, and that we're not just there for a commission check, and the process to get it done. A lot
So-
of. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking related to trust.
Yeah.
If they do trust you, and they call and ask your opinion, you might want to listen to it. Right? Because a lot of times,
Well, without a doubt.
a lot of times we'll call and we'll say, no, you should do this. We've had a lot of clients. You should do this, this, and this. Nah, I really think I want to do that.
No, but I just told you what I thought.
But if they're hiring us, because we've done 3,000 closings.
That may not be enough for some people. You know,
Right,
it
right.
sounds crazy, but a lot of the times I like to back up things with data. You know, it's just objective.
But sometimes, Doug, that like goes over a lot of people have a different side of brain
That's true.
thinking.
That's true.
But I think when you sit down and talk to somebody, you already know if you're going to trust them or not.
Bless you.
If they're listening to what you're saying.
Yeah.
And you can get the feedback and you recap it at the end of the meeting. This is what I'm going to do for you.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that like you guys are salespeople.
100%. Well,
But-
the job is to sell the house, but the process is more consultative.
So
Right.
we've been reading similar books lately there, and the process seems a little different there, where you don't tell them, all right, this is what I think we should do for you. You almost want that seller or buyer to come out with it as their opinion of what should be done.
Yeah,
kind of
agreed.
frame it.
If you think about it, like, you know, this oftentimes is one of the largest assets people have, their
Yeah.
house. You don't, in my opinion, really want like a salesperson convincing you to do something with it.
Absolutely
You know,
not.
and that's
Right.
where I think all the friction is between agents and sellers or agents and buyers, as they think they're getting sold. It's like the job is to
Because
sell.
you can
but
feel it. You can feel when you're, you know what I mean?
Oh, there's no
Bamboozled.
question.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what?
Bamboozled is a good word.
Yeah, it
you
is.
know, you guys should make it look harder than it is because you're good at what you do. So people don't see
probably right.
all the work that goes into it, and they can just go, "Well, wait, if it's that easy, I could do it myself." You should add a bunch of shit to it to make it seem harder.
I had this
than it
company
is.
who owned a fencing company.
Yeah.
So he bid on something, and he got very nice deal on getting the. So he sent his workers down from like 9 to 10 in the morning. It was just I don't know if this is whatever. So 9 and 10, but he told them all to go home for that reason and show back up when they come back from work around 4.
Right.
And then we'll.
So it looked like they were working all day. Yeah.
I don't condone that.
No. I think it's genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Perception is reality, I guess.
Yeah.
But I guess the other thing is when I first started working with Rick, or for Rick, I guess would say.
I'm not sure if I like where this is
I
headed.
No.
Back when she only had 8 weeks of vacation a year. Way back in the dark ages.
When I had to take the train to work. And,
Yeah.
I guess our mentality was as busy. We were so busy.
Right.
Like I would start crying when the fax machine went off because it was another deal. And it was just
Shows how long it's been.
Scribbling.
Fax machine.
rolls of paper just coming out and out and
Yeah.
out. My mentality, and it is still to this day, 34 years later, is you have to pretend that that's the only file on your desk.
Right.
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
Right.
So you have to show. Doug has to do that too. Even if he has 8 buyers or 8 sellers that are breathing down his back, you have to show them that you care
About them.
Yes.
about them and
That-
them only.
We used to have a little logo, and I think we got rid of it over the years, or motto, our most important closing is yours.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
It sounded a little...
No, so, but it has served us well.
Yeah.
Because I will say, if I am inundated and they end up calling me before I call them, I go, oh my God, I just pulled your file out. You were next on my list.
Yeah.
Like,
See, that's
and you,
good.
But it's true.
Yeah.
But you have to like make them trust you too.
Oh, yeah.
Because now you're asking for social security information and
Yeah, you give
personal
they're giving you the
information, and they're like, "Who the heck
And
are
as-
you?"
We used to laugh when Kathy would talk to her 10th borrower in the row and say, you're the best. I'm thinking, by definition, all 10 of them can't be the best.
Well, you're the
but-
best in the last
At
5 years.
that- At that moment.
Yeah.
That's like my wife gets mad at me because every time I eat something, I go, "That's the best meal I've ever had." And she goes, "You said that last night." I go, "Yeah, but I didn't have this one." Till tonight.
It's all relative.
Yeah, I'll eat. Yeah.
Why would she yell at you for that?
She just finds it. It's one of those things when you've been together so long,
No.
everything
Yeah.
annoys you.
Oh, yeah.
We understand.
Yeah.
Oh, we totally
Yeah,
understand.
we understand.
We
Doug's
totally-
a newlywed.
I
He doesn't
know, so
understand.
I'm not
this
there
at all.
yet.
Block
He'll
your
get there.
ears.
Yeah, Doug, look, he's still smiling. He's happily married. So Kelly's a wonderful.
now.
Kelly worries about if I don't call Doug after a while. I called him yesterday just to make sure. Remember when we said not many people taking my calls anymore because
Doug's one of them that will
Doug
take
will
it.
take my calls there. Tony takes my calls there. You know, but
Doug
it's
wanted
not-
Kelly to come out partying with me and Paula.
Oh,
I
no.
nixed that right away.
No, she'd still be out. No. That little bride of yours might be.
Yeah, I
Might have
wouldn't.
lost
I
her
wouldn't
there.
do that to you, Doug.
All right. So recap. Not to finish the show, but all right. So right now you get a team. You get your group together.
Yep.
And then you come in right in the beginning there, and you give them a marketing plan. We might have to, the importance of professional photography, importance of staging, the importance of.
Or the importance of Doug's list of things to do.
Absolutely.
It's very helpful. I think, you don't want to take the autonomy away from the homeowner. They're making the decisions, but I
Yeah.
think the goal is to say, hey, look, I've done this before. Here's
Right.
what I found works really, really well.
This is what you're paying me
right?
to do.
You can do as much of it or as little of it as you want, but if you do these things, here's a range of expected results. I
Right.
can't guarantee what's going to happen, but I've found that this works really well.
Right.
Right.
So I think that's how we do things. Is we're very
I like
comprehensive.
that. You do whatever you want, but this is what works.
This is what
This
I would
doesn't
like to
work.
see
Right,
happen.
right.
For,
But you
for
be
the
the
price
judge.
that you want.
You can decide if you'd like to make a lot of money or less money. It's
your
it's
decision.
your decision.
Your
but
decision.
I'd recommend the more money option. And the thing
Wow, that is unique.
That's why you get paid the
you'd
big
be
bucks.
surprised.
Oh,
You'd
yeah.
be
That's
surprised.
the most unique thing I've.
You have a choice here. That's kind of how.
But so if Doug was listing my home,
we just all yelling at this
You'd
point?
be surprised, guys. You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
We have no decorum at all. Look at Chrissy.
Doug is
She's
selling-
trying to write down notes for the show. All right, someone said this. Poor Chrissy.
The
all
proof
right.
that you were yelling is I just told you, yes, you are. Very loudly, I
and
thought.
none of us heard it.
No, Kathy did.
I did.
She was
And I
Did
piped
not.
down.
No, right.
No,
right.
but like if Doug said,
Am I right,
if
though?
you want to maximize your sale price, right?
Yep.
I need you to do these 20 things.
Correct.
Yep.
And in 3 weeks' time, we're going to be ready to list your house.
Yeah, I'm going to help you with them too.
I think the timing would be good. You'd say, so the onus would be on the homeowner
Yeah.
to think about the maximum
Yeah.
sale price,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So to not do it, and you say you'd be surprised that people don't do it.
Well, we've also learned this in our psychology books. Maybe we have to go in the negative. You almost should say, you're going to lose this amount of money if you don't do these 10 steps. I think
Well,
people are more
that sounds
fearful
like a
of,
threat,
of
though.
Well,
losing
I think to Rick's point, people are afraid of loss because look,
as opposed to the gain.
Right.
well, if there's a lot of homeowners that decide to sell on their own, and it's like, hey, if you're a do-it-yourselfer,
I don't know how.
go
you-
for it.
you had
But
a
like,
good
I don't
point.
know how.
You had a good point the other day. Someone trying to sell on their own. You say mediocre agents can't even get this sold on their own. I mean, sold.
how
And
are
you-
they going to do it?
Right.
I think one of the tough things is you can't really compare it. So it's like we can't say, hey, you sold your house, you lost $40,000, but you did it yourself, because you can't really compare it to something else.
Right.
But you can look to see other listings on the market that were poorly marketed, that
Right,
sat for a long
right,
time,
right.
what they sold relative to other things.
Right.
And I try to make it clear to people, it's like some people don't want to pay a listing commission, but it's like, believe it or not, marketing your home effectively, timing it correctly,
Without a doubt.
staging it correctly.
And your network of people, right?
it makes
your
a
network
huge-
of real estate brokers
Yep.
All right, let's-
that trust you.
Let's do some quick math. Would
No.
You, no.
Slow math is
Okay.
preferred.
No. We can all jump in. Would you spend $30,000 to make $60,000?
Absolutely.
And that's what it boils down to. You get a broker's commission, especially the last few years with the auction effect.
Yep.
All offers are in by Tuesday at 12 o'clock.
Yep.
That just
One thing I think that's
Go
key
ahead.
to the point that you're making, Rick, is if you look at like representing investors spend all day to hire the right agents
Right.
to make the money. I think one of the challenges is getting sellers in the mindset of, look, this is a product. You're making an investment, right? In order to
Right.
get the greatest return, you need to hire the right people
Right.
and spend the right amount of money to maximize what your return on investment. I think that's the toughest thing is a lot of
Yeah.
sellers, it's their house. There's a lot of emotional energy there.
Right.
If
Right.
every seller could just shift to an investment mentality, they do a lot better in the
Right.
long run. But it is
But if you
that's their
if you did
challenge.
psychological studies on every buyer or seller, it's all emotion.
Without a doubt.
Without
That's
a
the
doubt.
toughest part. I think part of our
They
job
don't do anything
is-
intellectually until their emotion has figured it out. Am I
right,
right about
right.
that?
Yep.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Is there a break-even point, though? I mean, do you ever look at a property and go, I don't know if we should spend this much on it to
Definitely.
make,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
am I going to spend 30 grand to make $5,000?
Right, right,
Probably
right.
not. No.
to your point, like basic things, right? Refinish the hardwood floors, paint the walls, put in recessed lighting.
Right.
Those things are really cheap to do. Most properties are going to benefit from something like that.
Right.
They're going to get a good return on that.
Right.
Or staging is another one. Like, it blows my mind that people don't stage.
So-
it's
so
such
back-
short money.
No, back to the home inspection. So you do like a pre-home inspection almost?
Depends
Go
on
through?
it depends on to Tony's point, I think it depends on the property.
Okay.
Like some properties, if it's going to be tougher to sell, doing that pre-inspection can be helpful because then they can determine what to fix up
Yeah.
to make the property more
Yes.
appealing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So even doing pre-appraisals now can
Yes.
sometimes be helpful.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
because then, believe it or not, that can help a lot with pricing.
But what
and
I'm hearing
negotiating.
you saying is that one size doesn't fit all.
That's why this job's fun.
Yeah.
So
It's all about strategy.
Always different. Yeah.
So
yeah.
it depends on what kind of house. If you have a unique house, if you have a move-in ready house, if you're in a beautiful neighborhood, or it's everything's different
Yep.
for every single house and every single seller and every single buyer.
100%. The thing that I have found, though, is there is sort of a consistent recipe. You know, I've helped people all over the place.
Right.
And there's a recipe of prepare the property well, market it to the nines, make sure you work with an agent that's actually like going to pick up the phone and call people and canvass the neighborhood, and then just negotiate it well. If you can, and then obviously have a good team. Like Rick and I work together on everything, and it makes a huge difference having a really professional backbone. So it's all about that
And
preparation.
if the question is posed to you, you can't answer it. But I'm going to get a hold of Rick and I'll have him call you directly.
It's huge.
Right? That's a very good channel.
I'm not an attorney. I'm not a stager. You know, I'm not a contractor. So I have people that I call.
I
to
heard
get-
you clean houses pretty well, though.
I gotta be busy.
That's good. You want a clean
I
house?
think he got $200 for it.
12 hours of his life.
Oh, good Lord.
You see a lot of people doing the staging still, or again, it varies. You're right.
It unfortunately varies, but like every single seller I work with, I make it clear, like if you want the best result, you've got to stage it because a lot of it is understanding buyers. Most buyers right now have a hard time visualizing what a space could be.
Right,
And we have cool technology now where you can digitally make
Yeah.
a space look different, but it doesn't help with showings. If someone walks into a vacant home, it's very different than a home that's
But
staged.
sometimes I think a vacant home, just had a conversation with someone else about this. Sometimes I think a vacant home, also, if you have your own creative fashion design, or whatever, you can. Like we bought our house empty.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I'm seeing too, to both your points is I see some listings shows it vacant because everything is out of there, but then they also show the virtual reality. They have two different, pictures to each. So you
Here's
can
a question,
Yeah.
and a semi-serious one.
Yeah.
Now,
Really?
I have, a multifamily.
Yeah.
Do I stage the whole thing?
That's a tricky
no.
one. You're probably not.
So
because
that's a great question.
you got
though.
tenants. All right.
Chrissy, please put in the notes that I
27,
asked a
40.
good question.
I believe it was great.
Thank
she
you.
said.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I guess a
No, that's a
multifamily sells
rooms.
differently than a.
no, that's a
Then,
great,
yeah,
great
then,
question.
right.
How to market a
Because
A
multifamily.
multifamily is more of a income generating
Right.
interest. Like they're probably not even moving in. You
Right.
know,
This
so.
is why you want.
It depends.
As part
Right.
of your,
This is why you want a good team.
So that's why
And part of your
one
team-
size does not fit all.
It's going to have to be the tenant too.
Yeah, well, that too. There's a lot more preparation involved there. People are going to want to see that it's cash flow positive.
Right.
Right. But you can do all that math ahead of time. So
Right.
oftentimes for multifamily sales, there's more involved. To your point,
Right.
working with the tenants is key so that showings go
right.
smoothly. But it's
We might have a separate show on condominiums, but a brief point right now is you selling those 2 units. You got to make sure that second unit owner is
Oh my God.
on board because they have to sign that 6D
Yep.
certificate.
And we've had some
We've had some,
doozies.
yeah.
What's
I
the
can-
6D certificate?
It's a certificate from the condo association that says that there are no common expenses that are unpaid.
I see.
Basically, just says that they're up to date with all their
So
condo
if
fees.
you only have 2 units, it's self-serving to have the seller sign it. So you have to have the other one sign it. But we've run into a situation where,
They
which
won't
I'm
sign it.
amazed about,
Why
and we've
wouldn't
run
they?
into this before, where the neighbors hate each other, so they curtail the sale.
Right.
But you think if they hate each other,
You'd want to get rid of the guy.
let's move the guy along. I'll
Right.
sign whatever you want. Sure.
Right.
You know, so
This business is all about relationships, Rick.
Right.
It's crazy. People don't, it's-
I remember we
Easier
did the
than starting
radio.
a fire.
One of our first
Actually, the fire might be
Maybe
easier.
easier. Yeah.
one of our first radio shows, I think we were putting on difficult. We just had, I forget, we were talking about scams and difficult. One set was neighbors who put on a big sign out front saying, "Oh, my neighbor's
Yeah.
whatever." I'll let you fill in the blanks, but
Jerk.
it was very right. My neighbor is a jerk. I'm thinking, well, if you want the guy to move out,
Yeah. Just
that-
let him go.
Just let him go, and you're derailing the. But I
Or a
digress.
fire.
Yeah.
Very successful fire.
All right, as part of the seller's due diligence, and we're going to have a whole separate show on this.
Oh, yeah.
But we can do, if you call Carter Real Estate Law, I can give you a tip on septic systems. We won't do it today on how you can
Ooh,
save.
you're just doing, you're
It's a
dangling the
tease.
cat,
It's a
dangling
tease.
the
It's a
carrot.
tease. Right, right.
And if you call Carter
Real Estate Law,
office,
if
you
you-
might get to talk to me.
Yeah,
They got a phone number over there?
1 out of 2 shot at it.
They got a phone number
26
over
weeks. You have a phone number at Carter Law?
Yes, it's
Well, what would it be?
781-944-9222.
But if you have a property with private septic, I can give you a tip that will save you thousands. That's
Eat less.
We gotta go.
That was supposed to be a tease.
sorry. We
Now
gotta
you
go.
just told everyone.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to get Doug back because I'm
Yeah.
not sure if we got through. And don't
I
forget.
actually think Doug would love to come. He loves laughing with
and as
us.
far as
no
the
question.
sellers
No
due
question.
diligence, they have to do their title search. I have an example right now. The seller forgot he gave a right of first refusal to his ex-mother-in-law. So you can see how that's going along.
we always talk about doing it early. Do
Yeah.
the smokes early,
Yeah.
post certificate
Yeah,
early,
exactly.
right? Do title work early,
Yeah,
do everything
yeah,
early. What's
exactly.
the downside?
So if you
Yeah.
call Carter Real Estate Law Office,
We will guide you.
We'll save you from losing thousands. How's that?
That-
that's not
that's
too bold of
big.
a point.
Yeah.
Well, we might have to wrap this baby up.
I know.
'cause
Thanks for coming, Doug.
thanks for
It's
having
nice
me.
Always nice
Always
to see
good to
you.
see
Doug Walters, Kathy Holtshouser, Tony V. What an
Yes.
exceptional group of people we've had here today. There. Thanks for joining us here on the Real Estate House Party, and we're going to see you next week.
Yes.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.